Marrow Lane, the sidewalk that moves. On Marrow Lane, you learn your route. Mailbox, corner, the cracked slab of sidewalk that dips like a shallow step. The storm drain that smells like wet pennies. The house with the porch light that never matches the others. That's how the lane stays quiet. It turns your attention into habit. So when the sidewalk changed, I noticed immediately. It wasn't a big change, just a seam across the concrete near number 18. I'd walked that way every morning for months. There hadn't been a seam. The gap breathes. I stepped closer. The seam was a gap, thin as a blade, running from grass to curb. A cold draft rose from it. Not wind, air from underneath. I crouched, touched the edge, then stood fast and looked around. The street was empty. Just that quiet lull when everyone is inside pretending they don't live on a street with rules nobody admits. That night, at 11:17 p.m., my porch light blinked once. Not counting, not warning, more like pointing. The next morning, the seam was closer. Same thin cut, same cold breath. But it had migrated, like the sidewalk slid in the night. My phone buzzed. A message from a blank number. Don't step over it. I froze. I hadn't told anyone. I walked back home without crossing the seam. I took the long way through the pocket park, pretending I was careful, not scared. On the third morning, the seam was closer again, near number 12. I could see it from my driveway. A clean line across the path like a boundary someone drew on the world. A woman jogged up the street, earbuds in. She didn't slow down. She ran straight toward the seam. My mouth opened. Hey! She glanced up, and her foot hit the gap. Not a trip, a wrong step. Her face went slack for half a second, like her brain got interrupted. She kept jogging, slower, off rhythm. She passed me without seeing me, and turned down a side street that doesn't exist on Marrow Lane. I watched her disappear between two houses where there's usually a fence. The seam wasn't moving. It was advancing. I walked to the end of Marrow Lane to the street sign. Behind the pole was a rubber-banded bundle of notes. Old paper, new paper, different handwriting. One note said, "If the sidewalk shifts, do not cross the cut. Do not warn people who haven't noticed. Let it pass your house without feeding it attention." My hands trembled because it wasn't going to pass my house. It was coming straight for it. That night, I watched through a thin crack in the curtain. At 11:17, my porch light blinked once again. The street lights down Marrow Lane dimmed one by one. A soft grinding rose outside, like heavy stone dragging on stone. The sidewalk was moving, pulling the seam forward. My phone vibrated. The blank number again. Don't look down. I looked down anyway. A thin, perfect line ran across my entryway tile. Cold air breathed up through it like my house had a basement it never told me about. From beneath the floor, a fingernail tapped. One tap, a pause, then 3 taps. Not a knock, a pattern, an invitation. I remembered the note. Let it pass without feeding it attention. Don't confirm it. Don't name it. Don't complete the pattern. I stepped back and forced my eyes away. Then, calm as I could manage, I said, "I see it." And I said nothing else. The tapping stopped. The cold draft softened. Outside, the grinding faded like a tide pulling back. When dawn came, the seam was gone. My entryway tile was solid. Outside, the sidewalk looked normal again. But across the street near Number, a slab had shifted to reveal a thin crack. On the curb, chalked in shaky handwriting, was a message. "Next time, step over." I stared until my eyes burned, because Marrow Lane's final rule is this: if it can't take you by force, it leaves you a dare, and waits for the day you're tired, distracted, and just curious enough to obey.